Want help to grow your business? Download Bryn, the world's first business advisor in your pocket. To find out more, visit bryn.ai or search the App Store today.
Hi, I'm Dale Beaumont and welcome to Secrets Exposed. This is the show that takes you up close and personal with world-leading business experts. And our topic for this interview is how to use innovation to drive growth and profit. That coming up in just a moment. My special guest today is leading business consultant and innovation expert, David Jordan. And our topic for this interview, how to use innovation to drive growth and profit. David, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Right, so we're going to be talking about innovation and we're going to be chatting for around about 45 minutes or so, which gives us some really good time to dive into a subject that I'm really passionate about, and you're the expert, so I'm keen to learn as much as I can. First thing I want to start with is, what is innovation? How do you describe it? How do you define it to other people?
It's a good question, Dale. Just this last weekend at a function, and a CEO had been approached by his board, and they said, "We need the company to be very innovative. This is where the company needs to go." And he said, "That sounds great. That's what all the companies are saying. But where do you start? And what actually is innovation?" And he's used to all sorts of things like lean manufacturing and Sigma 6. So he said, "Is that innovation?" And that's a very good question. People don't know what innovation is. Very simply, innovation is about doing something new. It's a new product, a new idea, a new service. So it's just simple, something new. What I like to try and talk to companies and business leaders about is that innovation is about something new to solve a problem for a customer with the purpose of driving profit and growth and to give a competitive edge. Now, the reason why I talk to this about to business leaders is I need to make them think about innovation. It sounds common sense, but why would you innovate if you're not going to improve the bottom line? And people do. I mean, 80% of innovations fail because people get caught up in the idea and forget what the purpose of the business is.
So you said 80%?
80% of innovations fail to deliver.
Wow.
So the issue is really to get back to thinking about your business and why you're innovating. And that I come back to getting them to think about their business a bit. I look at businesses that you're in business to solve a customer's problem. So I'm driving down the road, the fuel tank says empty, I've got to fill it up with car. The petrol station down the road is solving that problem to refill my tank. You start thinking about your business as solving a problem. I'm hungry, I don't feel like cooking, the restaurant is solving my problem of giving me some food to eat. So it's all about solving a customer's problem. So then when you start thinking about innovation is about coming up with new ideas to solve customers' problems. And when you look at successful innovative companies, they are using innovation to solve customers' problems. So I think that's the best way of describing innovation.
All right, fantastic. Now, oftentimes when we hear about the word innovation, we normally associate it with big corporations. How is it relevant, and is it still relevant, to small to medium-sized business owners?
Well, I think it's not only relevant, I think it's imperative. We often see innovation as about the big companies. It's actually about small companies. Small companies are the innovators. Small companies have to innovate to survive, to compete, and to succeed against bigger competitors. And when you think about entrepreneurs have gone into the world thinking that they can do something differently. They think they've got a new way of doing something. They've got something that's an edge on other people. That's innovation. So an entrepreneur is really bringing innovation to the market, and that's where they think they're going to have a business edge. So it's very important to really focus on innovation to find that competitive edge.
And oftentimes you're an advantage as a small business owner in terms of innovation because you're much smaller, you don't have any kind of legacy issues or boards to kind of please as well, and you can move really fast and quickly, whereas oftentimes corporates take a lot longer to change.
Yes, and the other thing I guess with corporates is, a good example is Apple Computers. Now you would say that that's one of the leading innovative companies in the world. They're not. When you look at Siri on your iPhone, Siri was not innovated by Apple. Some small business came up with the innovation and Apple bought it. So when you talk about startups in the technology world, their whole focus is to create the next product that the HPs and IBMs and other companies are going to buy. Big companies don't innovate. They don't have the right skills, the right mindsets to innovate. It's actually the domain of small business.
Fantastic. All right, now you've come up with 5 innovation myths, and I think before we move any further, it's really important to address these because a lot of people probably watching this are probably thinking some of these things like I was as well, and you've got some interesting ideas. So let's go through these 5 right now. The top 5 innovation myths. Number 1 is innovation is not about a new product. Do you want to explain that to us?
Yes, so I think as soon as we say innovation, I think the mind goes to, oh, there's an iPhone or an iPad or the new Samsung phone, or we're seeing these Ubers, and
or I've got to do something radical. Or
yeah. So you're thinking about product or a new service on the market, and that drives a lot of people's thinking. But innovation is far beyond that. When you look at your business, innovation could be the way you market the product. It could be the distribution channels. It could be about how you change the way you do business, electronic invoicing, or are you going to move your general ledger and emails out into the cloud? So innovation is a whole range of processes that get from the point of coming up with the idea, servicing a product, selling the product, getting the product out to the customer.
So you don't need to add a new product or a new service to be innovative, is what you're saying?
That's correct. Actually, the interesting thing is a lot of researchers actually identified the problem with a new product is actually that it's high risk. And the second thing is that the return on investment of an innovative new product is often less than the return on investment you can get on innovating other parts of your business.
Very good point.
It's very important not to just think of innovation as a new product. Look at the whole process.
All right, number 2 is innovation is not always expensive. This is a good one. Explain it to us.
Yes, so I think the problem is you think about the technology and all the things that are involved, and it sort of creates this mindset that it's just too big for you. A lot of small businesses say, look, it's great. Apple's got this massive budget and they can do all this R&D. I'm a small company. I don't have the money to do it. And that's really a big mistake because it's not about throwing money at a problem. It's about how to be smart. As I tell business owners, successful companies don't have successful innovations. They're successful at innovating. And it's about how you have a frame of mind to do innovating. If you take a company like Polaroid, say the instant cameras, they realized the writing was on the wall with digital cameras coming on. They threw millions of dollars at R&D and they still went bankrupt. So throwing money doesn't solve a problem. But I think it was always a good example that I've always remember was about this small hairdresser in the central United States. It was a small town, the only hairdressers in the town, so they had a very safe business, it gave them a good living. And then one of these new cut price chains came in and said, we'll do $6 haircuts. So it's doom and gloom. Customers are heading across the road to this new hairdresser. The family's worried, so they sit down overnight trying to think, what do we do? They came up with an idea. They put a sign in the window, we fix $6 haircuts. Now, this is a really important example. How much does it cost to put a sign in the window? No websites, no mobile apps. It's just about being clever. So don't get focused on the cost, focus on how to be clever within your budget.
And that wasn't adding a new product and it wasn't expensive.
No.
All right, fantastic. Let's go on to number 3. Number 3 is, this is a great one. Innovation is not technology. Explain that to us.
Yeah, so I guess as we're living in the digital age. We had digital disruption. We're seeing the mobile phones and all these technology apps. So straight away when you think innovation, it thinks technology. And it's actually a big mistake. I try to get people to understand technology is automation, not innovation, just to try and get people to think of that mindset a little bit different. But more importantly is to try and get people to think about the business model. The business model is important. If your revenue doesn't exceed your costs, you're in trouble. If you don't have the right product to service the customer, you're in trouble. Having a fancy mobile app and a website that's really fantastic isn't going to solve that problem. So it's really important to get people to step back, focus on the business problem, then look at how technology can advance that business model.
Okay, great, fantastic. We'll talk more about technology later in this interview. Another one you've got here is I don't have the skills in my organization, which I think is a great one. I want to lump in there as well another one that people say is, innovation, I'm just not a creative type of person. So what would you say to the first one and the second one?
I think that's the thing that's really important is about what is the skills for innovation. And again, it goes back to this issue about technology. So you're saying, well, I'm going to innovate. Gee, I need to have scientists who can come up with this new product.
And engineers.
Or engineers, or I need all these programming people to write websites. But innovation, like the $6 sign in the window, is about imagination. It's about creativity. So the issue at the moment is if you're the entrepreneur of a business, you come in, you understand the market that you're in, you understand your customer, and you understand why you're doing that business. You are the best person to understand how to innovate to solve that customer's problem. If you come up with the idea and you need help to get it implemented, then you could go outsourcing and get skills off the internet to set up a website or a mobile app. But you don't need those skills in-house. The biggest skill you need is what's up here, in your imagination. And I think that issue, what you're saying about people feel that they're not creative, I think that's just stopping themselves. Everyone is creative.
Yeah.
It's just a belief. You wouldn't have been an entrepreneur and set up a business if you weren't creative. You'd have just been sitting there working a 9-to-5 job like everybody else. So it's really about believing yourself. I mean, if you believe that you're the best person to provide that product and service, then be convinced about it and start delivering on that. And when you start thinking that way, the ideas will start coming.
All right, and just to expand on that one, I don't have the skills in my organisation as well, or the people in my company aren't innovative. We'll talk more about how do you infuse this spirit of innovation in your team later in the interview, but just touch on that one about I don't have the skills within my company.
Yeah, and I guess that's again is really trying to understand what is the skills that you're trying to have, and the important thing is about providing a service to the customer.
To continue enjoying this presentation, download Brin, the world's first business advisor in your pocket. To find out more, visit Brin.ai or search the App Store today.